Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the Cats and Bolts podcast. Here we go.
Oh boy, yes, that's a real thing. Good job, Ben Castro, and hello, Panthers and Lightning fans. Welcome to Florida's favorite and most watched hockey show, the Cats and Bolts podcast, coming to you not live, but live to us from Podcast Junkie Studios in downtown Boca Raton, Florida. I am one half of the show, Rod Peterson. She's the other half of the show, Serena Taylor, and we've got a three-parter for you today. And I will tell you that we're brought to you by DraftKings, Beach House, Pompano, and Beresco. We'll tell you a little bit more about them as the show goes along. Here's our three things. We're going to open with our thoughts on the current fate of the Florida Panthers, and for that matter, the hard-charging Tampa Bay Lightning too. That's just for a few minutes. And then we're bringing in, I won't even imitate him, the inimitable Andrew Imber. Yes, you know him, the beloved public address announcer of your Florida Panthers. It's so good. It's in my psyche, your voice. And then viewer questions. It's becoming a thing. I put it out there this morning. What questions do you have? And we have a flood of them. So I'm going to jump right into it. Serena, by the way, disclaimer alert. She may swear. She probably will swear. I may swear. You can put the two-shot on. I need a reaction, Ben, because we have very differing opinions on the fate of the Florida Panthers right now. The losers of 8 of their last 10. They're now lined up against Toronto in round 1 of the playoffs. Paul Maurice saying after Tuesday night's 5-3 loss at Montreal, everybody relax. Among a lot of other things, I was going to bring in the clip and play it, but everybody that's watching the show saw it. Everybody relax. I agree with Pomo. You, however, not to speak for you, this is your chance, do not agree.
Well, I don't think there's anything that benefits anybody when people get excited. Everybody does need to relax.
Okay.
But the question that you're talking about is, should the Panthers fans be worried? That's what it's about. Is that not what we're talking about? Should they be concerned about?
No, I mean, hey, you don't hide anything, nor do I. We were sitting on the couch this morning, and I said, hey, here's the clip from Pomo. Played it for you. Right? And he goes, I'm not concerned. I know where we are. Everybody just relax. And he actually seemed relaxed. And you, to paraphrase, you were like, he has to say that, but deep down, he can't be.
He has to be shitting himself because he went through this in Winnipeg a few years ago.
Yeah.
They were doing great. They tanked. I don't think the Panthers are tanking for the record, but he knows what it's like when you go on the road. You win some games you should be probably winning. They probably should have beat Montreal. They probably, there was somebody else that they played. They probably should, maybe not Toronto. Toronto outplayed them. Montreal outplayed them.
Toronto made them look bad. Yep.
Sure, but that's what's been happening with the Panthers. They're not playing the first 2 periods like they used to. They're kind of lollygagging around. And when they played Detroit, Barkov was unbelievable. It was probably the best game I saw Barkov, in my opinion, play all year. The guy was all over the ice where he was supposed to be. He played a great game. He was physical. He was smart with the puck, like he usually is. But in my opinion, he was more dominant in that game. Where it was lagging is you have a 50-plus goal scorer that's not being a game changer right now. Barkov didn't have any help in that game. And realistically, they probably should have lost that game to Detroit. Detroit just kind of fell apart.
Yeah. Well, we're kind of getting to the bottom of what we're talking about here, but I will tell you, Panthers fans, spoiler alert, and Lightning fans too, for that matter, I'm not reading what you're saying on Facebook. I'm not reading what you're saying on Twitter. I'm legit not, because it's out of control. Now, Andrew, by the way, is a very entertaining Twitter follower. We talked about the refs punking the Habs last night, saying they had a goal and then pulling it away from them. Whoop! That was funny.
That usually does not happen to the Habs. The Habs
not in Montreal.
The Habs have habitually, for as long as you and I have been on this earth, the Habs always get the calls.
Get the calls, yeah. So when they're bad, the refs can jam them, and that's what they're doing right now. But anyways, I'll just say this. When the Panthers were winning 13 in a row in January, and everybody was thumping their chest that they were the number 1 team in the NHL, I was the one who said, and it's pretty clear you were saying it too, but it doesn't matter. Bob was saying it. Sergei Bobrovsky at the time said these winning streaks in the regular season don't matter because he knows. And I'm just going to say right now, this losing streak right now or whatever they're on, 8 of 10, it doesn't matter either. I believe that because, and Paul Maurice isn't just flapping his jaws. Number one, a leader can't panic, and I don't believe he is panicking. I believe that they will figure it out and it will be a new season, and that's in some of the questions coming up, so I don't want to scoop myself, but I can see you don't agree.
No, you didn't let me talk.
Well, you're not saying much
agree.
interesting, so...
When have I had the chance?
Told you! It's got to get spicy right out of the jump here.
Winning streaks don't matter in the regular season, just like the losing streaks don't. When the playoffs start, it's a new season. The Panthers could lose the rest of their games and still sweep the first round. Doesn't matter. That's why Pomo is telling everybody to relax. I
kind of feel like that's what I've been saying for the last
But he's the
4 minutes.
He's the only guy that's in control of it. So it's easier for him to say, everybody relax. No one's in control. It's like driving the car in a snowstorm. He's the only one driving. So everybody else is freaking out.
I don't necessarily disagree with you. Like when he goes, I'm not concerned. Do you think he's deep down concerned? Do you think he feels he knows the way out of this? Because I fully do.
I think that every head coach is concerned all the time. That's their job. Their job is to win hockey games. And if they're not, there's always a concern. He's looking at big picture, though. He's not concerned about losing a game in Montreal or whatever. He's looking at, I'm not worried because I've got a game plan for what I'm going to do with my lines. Period.
Yeah,
He's trying it out.
And for that reason, I don't think people should panic or freak out. Because all I'm saying is I'm a Pomo believer. I've been watching him his whole career, second all-time NHL wins as a head coach. If he can't lead them out of this, nobody can. That's what I think.
For argument's sake, I hear what you're saying, but fans are going to be concerned.
Sure, but we don't listen.
He hasn't won a Stanley Cup.
I get all of that. Hey, whine all you want. Piss your pants. Do whatever you want. I'm not going to worry. That's what I'm saying.
You also don't have allegiances to any team specifically. As an Oiler fan, I was ready to slit my wrists in November.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to live with.
I get it. If Panthers fans are worried and concerned, they should be. If they didn't, it mean they didn't care. That's why I think people are probably like looking at Paul Maurice going, do you even care? Of course he cares. But you know what I'm saying with that? Like, it's like John Cooper, very stoic all the time. Paul Maurice is just trying to be like, guys.
Two of the greatest coaches in the NHL. And thank you for the segue to point two before we bring in Imber Voice. That is his Twitter and Instagram handle. The Tampa Bay Lightning. Have you noticed? They've won 8 of 10. They have slithered into a first-round meeting with Boston, and that may change because it's changing daily, but that's what it's lined up today. They're in the first wild card spot. They're just shifting into overdrive. Nobody noticed. No big deal. It's the Lightning.
They probably, for the first time in, I don't know, however many years, they haven't had the spotlight on them. Yeah. It's a different ball game for the Lightning this year. And probably John Cooper's sitting back going, Paul Maurice, you can answer all these questions because I'm done. But I said from day one, don't ever count the Lightning out. They just have way too much talent and way too much playoff experience to just roll over and die. Versus a team like Winnipeg doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, doesn't have a lot of wins under their belt in the playoff situation. It's two completely different teams. It's
unfair that John Cooper's never been a finalist for Coach of the Year, let alone won it. But I was listening to NHL radio the other day. They were talking about potential Coaches of the Year. Again, his name didn't come up. That's an argument for another day, a discussion for the other day, because we're going to bring on Andrew right now. I'm sure he just laughs, though. He's got the Stanley Cup rings. Right? He's got it all.
Andrew's doing his hair.
Yeah, he's fixing his hair, and that's on his face and his head.
This guy is ready? Fit. Andrew, come on in. This guy is fit. He's a good-looking guy.
He's got it all.
This has become a dating show.
That's right.
I think here.
Andrew Imber. Look at this guy.
Look at him.
He's all cut up.
You're lucky we made you wear a shirt.
Yeah. It wouldn't take long to take it off, I bet. Andrew Imber, the public address announcer of your Florida. Give us one.
Florida Panthers.
Even I got chills. I'm
getting chills in here.
We'll be in the rink and the mascot comes out. Ladies and gentlemen. And I'm like, Andrew had some caffeine today.
I believe I said one day Andrew needs to be shot with a tranquilizer dart tonight. He's way too fired up.
He's like, ladies.
That's the job, right?
And honestly, she said to me the other day, and you have nothing to gain by this, or she didn't. She's like, Andrew is the best announcer in the NHL.
Mm-hmm. By far.
Thank you.
How about she's not easy to please, man, as you know.
I think was it the Leafs? I was listening to the Leafs one. He's really good too.
Yeah.
But I was like, when we're watching a game at home and the play is going on, all of a sudden, Panthers, we just start laughing.
Barrels through the television.
Yeah, you hear like Randy and Goldie talking, but all of a sudden Andrew just comes blasting.
Do you guys have a little announcer union amongst
Oh,
yourselves?
yeah. The NHLPA Brotherhood. Yeah, it's a thing.
How many have you met?
About 5 or 6 or so. There's about 20 in the group. There's about 10 or 12 that haven't joined. So where are you guys? You guys are always welcome in the group. But yeah, no, I've actually had the chance to meet in person quite a few. It's a good group. A lot of nice guys.
Well, what's fantastic about this show is the ability to ask questions like I'm about to. What's your story, Andrew? I mean, to be honest, I was coming to games before I met you.
Yeah.
So your voice sounds like you should be about 6'9", 340.
Like it should be coming out of Peter Worrell.
I get that all the time.
Yeah. And that is not, I'm a career broadcaster here, man. Trust me, nobody ever really sounds like looks like they sound, right, or whatever.
Right.
And then Kevin DeJesus, a mutual friend of ours, introduced us, and we'll get to that. But that's all we know is your voice. And a few people know your face because they show you up on the big screen doing one of these. We got so much to get to, man. Just what's your story?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was a newspaper writer in high school, and it wasn't.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it wasn't until college that I kind of went the audio route. I found the student-run radio station in my freshman year, had a sports talk show for all 4 years at FAU, got the opportunity to do play-by-play and PA for basically all the sports teams. I created the broadcast for FAU club hockey. I was doing PA and play-by-play at the exact same time. So I had 2 microphones. I had the PA mic over here, the play-by-play mic over here, and I was like, and they dumped the puck in, penalty to number 4, and like just kind of going back and forth with everything. And that's where the start was.
I've never heard of anybody doing that
Not
anywhere.
even in the Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League.
Nowhere in Canada have I heard of that, man.
No.
Oh, that's unreal. You should get an award for that.
It was the opportunity of a lifetime, though, because
Yes.
that's where you get to find out what you're good at, what you're passionate about, and that's what led me to this.
When you do
That's
5
fantastic.
things at once, you're like opening the penalty box, running the score clock.
Sometimes, yeah, music, you never know. Whatever comes up that night.
So
for you.
you must feel like announcing Panthers games is a walk in the park compared to doing everything at one time.
In some ways, yeah.
The only thing he's tight on time is every time I see Andrew upstairs, he's like, I got like 30 seconds
Yeah.
to pee. He's like running across, running back. I'm like, this guy does the whole game with a 30-second break at the first and second intermission.
It's nonstop, yeah.
How many seasons?
This is 9.
So how did it come about?
The Panthers?
Yeah.
It was an open audition. I was actually the backup for a couple of years before I got the job. Didn't come with anything but the title. I asked, can I sit in? Crickets. I was just kind of waiting in the wings. Everything turned over. They had a complete open audition. 60-plus people from all over the country came in. Nailed the first audition. They narrowed it down to 3. Nailed the second audition. Big interviews, everything. And I was in the booth for the first preseason game in 2015.
I'm not surprised you got the job. And nobody is. But 60 people from around the country
Yeah.
came.
Minor league announcers, people with much more experience than me, for sure.
Do you feel that it helped that you were local?
I think the story doesn't hurt, right? To have been, I was a fan in 1993. I went to my first game with my dad in the opening season of the Panthers. So I've been a lifelong Florida Panthers fan. I was a season ticket holder, communications intern after college, backup. I basically just walked the route. Now, obviously, if I didn't have the chops, it would have never happened. But I mean, it can't hurt your story for sure. So I hope that might have. And obviously, one of the questions they did ask that I heard was helpful was they were like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And I said, what are you talking about?
Being the announcer of the Panthers, yeah.
Right. And they like that. So.
That's incredible. Well, see, I feel like the fans have fallen in love with you even more. I know I am. I can't speak for them. And like I look at these names here. Kachuk, I got in front of me, Barkov, Ekblad. You have your own little way of saying all of them.
Got to,
So
right?
talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, one of my biggest pet peeves with announcing is when every name sounds exactly the same. Long first, drawn out syllable on the first syllable, the last name, and then hit like every name can't be the same to me. So I'm constantly, I say some people sing in the shower, I announce in the shower. I'm always kind of like workshopping, how can I say this name a little bit differently? I'll pay attention to other teams, other sports, and take influence when I hear something pretty cool. And some of it is just like off the top of my head. I'm like, you know what? Let's see how this sounds.
I'll tell you something right now. You are the major reason there is any energy in that building. I'm serious. I'm serious, because the mascot comes out, Stanley, see, and there's like 8 people in the seats because it's way before the game and people are still coming in. Everybody's like, Andrew's talking.
Going nuts.
Like freaking out. And I'm like, yeah, Andrew, go get him. And, but it's true. Like, you bring so much energy. Like, as soon as you announce that goal, those people are losing their friggin' minds. It's all you. If it ever changes, you'll notice a big difference.
Thank you. I hope it doesn't, because I mean, my goal is to be here for so long that they have to retire my jersey someday. Like, that's the goal.
Can you imagine Huizinga?
They should.
Imber.
Imber, are you
50 years from now?
Are you worn out after a game?
I think at the beginning I was. At the beginning, it was so mental. I couldn't even breathe. It was literally just me struggling to breathe to survive out there. I had gotten my dream job after all this time, after all the work, and it was as mental and physical a process as you can imagine. And it was literally just me trying to survive. And now we've gotten to the point where I'm comfortable. We've cut down on some of the superfluous reads. We've cut down on a few things that just make my life a little bit easier. I get to focus on what I'm good at, my passions. I'm getting more used to it, obviously, by the game. I get more comfortable with the gig by the game. And honestly, not so much anymore. At the beginning, yes, but I feel pretty good these days.
When do you have to go?
I have about 10 minutes. We're good.
In 10?
Yeah.
Okay. I got a million questions, and we have the viewer questions. Maybe if you got to go, him and I can handle the viewer questions. That would be fun.
We
Let's
can
do
chat
it.
a little more. If there's anything juicy that I need to be here for, let's hit them.
What do you got for Andrew? Anything?
No, I love that Andrew came in, because it's also, Andrew's a fan. He's a Panthers fan. So we get players and old coaches and whatever on here. And also you're an employee, but you're a fan. So it'll be interesting to see some of the answers to some of these questions.
Sure. Well, I'm not even done. Will you come back sometime?
Anytime.
Yeah. And by the way, we do have gift cards for him from Beach House Pompano and Beresco. I just happened to forget him at home. Stupid me. Well, I'm going to jump. So the viewer questions, thank you to the viewers for firing them in. Like, I want to know, okay, do you get in trouble for your Twitter comments from the NHL? Because you rip the refs. Do you? That's the last one that I had.
No, because I am pretty artful with it. I don't do anything over the top, and sometimes you put it up for like 2 seconds and you delete it. Like, cause you just like, nope, not gonna
You
tempt
too?
fate there.
We know. We know.
have
Oh
to,
my
right?
God, that's hilarious.
Yeah, no, I always try to keep it within reason. Yeah.
What is that like?
Yeah.
Rod, I don't know what you're talking about. I think the refs do a fantastic job.
Right.
I think everything they do is perfect. Come on.
Panthers Fan Den writes and says, Andrew, question for Andrew. What's your career milestone now after having called the Stanley Cup?
It's got to be awarding it, right? Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
last step.
that's a
for
great
sure.
question.
It
I mean,
is.
yeah.
It depends if you're talking Panthers or if you're talking as an
I would
announcer.
think
for
hockey.
sure.
I would
Yeah.
think hockey.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to be the one that finally gets to say, and now you're Stanley Cup champions. That's the final goal. That's the final boss.
Before we get onto these, I was going to ask you before, who was your favorite player growing up?
Oh, man. I mean, originally it was Van Beesbrook. I had a Beezer
Okay.
poster in my room, of course. Like anyone on those early Florida Panthers teams was just... And then as I became more cognizant and got a little bit older and stuff, it was the Olli Jokinen types and
cool.
and of course Roberto Luongo, and to be around them now is just absolutely crazy, and to actually have had a working relationship with Peter Worrell and guys like that and Bill Lindsay, it's unbelievable. Just the
Isn't
nicest
Peter
guy.
a great guy?
He's so cool. He coached FAU hockey when I started doing all those roles. That's who the coach was for FAU hockey, and we had a great relationship.
Who's your favorite all-time announcer? Anything, period.
Doc Emmerich.
Nice.
Really?
Not even
Okay,
hesitation.
good. Yeah, clearly.
Interesting.
Alec,
Wait, hold on.
What?
Any specific reason?
His passion, I mean, I
Okay.
still miss him. Like, there's nobody can step into that role of what those Stanley Cup games felt like when he's got that energy through the roof. You get this sport of hockey, which is the most exciting sport in the world, and then you add the most exciting announcer to it. To me, it was just incredible. Now, there's guys who are really close behind him. Gary Thorne, unbelievable.
Yes.
Jim Houston was one of my favorites growing up.
Really? Okay.
Absolutely. But I miss Doc every day.
Interesting. I mean, growing up in Canada, we didn't watch the American broadcast.
Speak
ever
for yourself.
No,
I
of
like
the-
Gary Thorne. I watched him.
One day he'll let me finish. Of the Stanley Cup final. So we always had the Canadian announcers. So we obviously watched, like, there was always hockey on NBC, but yeah, that's interesting. Okay.
All right, thank you. Alec and Eddie want to know, and we'll loop you in on this. What are the Panthers' problems? We didn't even get to that. We talked about whether Pomo was vindicated in saying to relax. What I think it is lack of confidence now that came from lack of chemistry, busted up at the trade deadline, And that's about it. Like when they can come out and just say the coach yelled at us, which is what Barkov said after the first period of the Detroit game. They're not playing at 100%. And I don't know why, but they've got, 7 games left to get back to themselves. They're not themselves, but I think they will get back to themselves.
I believe it's 6. Yeah.
Is it 6 now?
6.
Okay. So that's confidence, chemistry, but it will be fine because they have talent and it is a great chemistry. You don't smash that in a month.
I think they had such good chemistry the whole year, right from the start. That was the one thing the Panthers had was chemistry. But like I was saying to you the other day, I think kind of what threw a little wrench, it's like the bike's going and you throw it in the spoke, was putting Tarasenko right on that top line with Barkov or putting him on there and just kind of you shifted your lines when Tarasenko came in. Regardless, if you put Wayne Gretzky on that line, you're going to shift some stuff up, right? So I think there was a little bit of, we got to try this because we have a guy like Tarasenko who's capable of putting the puck in the net. But let's see where he fits. You're not going to know right away when you get a guy like that. It just takes some time.
To you, Imber voice, what's the problem?
I mean, let's face it, there's been injuries. Aaron Ekblad's been hurt basically since this whole thing started and then unfortunately went down again last night. So you're not at full health. Kachuk was out of the lineup last night. You've had a lot of your top guys missing. And to be honest, it goes hand in hand with what the real reason is. It's they know they're in. And so over the course of an 82-game season, how do you possibly play at 100% every single night and then have enough energy to go into the playoffs? There's always going to be ups. There's always going to be downs. The timing, obviously, of this particular lull is scaring people, as we know. But you don't panic until game 1 of the playoffs. And there's no reason why this team can't turn it all back on for game 1. It's just the timing of these injuries. And fortunately, and Verhaeghe was out last night, too. And, I mean, that's so much of your talent. If you're missing Kachuk, Verhaeghe, and Ekblad, any team missing their top defensemen and 2 of their top forwards is going to struggle a little bit. So I really think that it's just getting healthy and getting back into games that truly, truly matter. And, I mean, let's face it, every team that's going to be in the playoffs is going to be good. So what are you playing matchups for?
Yeah, completely agree. That's kind of what we say all the time. Who cares who you play in the play? You got to beat them every.
What did we do last year? We beat Boston, the best team. We beat Toronto, Carolina. We beat the Murderers Row.
Yeah, but that's why I think Paul Maurice is just kind of like smiling like Cheshire Cat here. He knows all this. When the media goes nuts about the line combos, they can change 2 minutes into the game. Who cares?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And emptying the tank to finish first right now, although Bill Lindsay said he wants to finish first for the best matchups, and I get that, but it's getting healthy. It's, again, the chemistry and confidence. And maybe Ottawa will be the slump buster. Maddie writes in and she says, will the slump continue into the playoffs, or do you see them turning it around? Well, that would be my speech to the team is, hey, boys, it's a brand new season. Boom. That's not hard. Let's hope it turns around.
Easy work, right? I mean, it's a new season. Everybody's 0-0, right? And even when you're down, we saw the Panthers down 3-1 in the first round last year with Marchand breaking in, looking to end the season, gets stopped, and everything changes. The playoffs are a completely different entity. It's impossible to predict. It's impossible to play trends. You just got to get it going for game 1 and get hot at the right time. And you could be a team no one even sees coming right now that takes it all.
Well, like Billy said, you just got to play one period at a time. You get through the first period in the playoffs, you get through the second period. You know, you just got to win each period.
Well, and it is different, too, because you're playing Bob every game. You're not playing Stolarz because you have to. We got to fit him in here somewhere, right? You attack it totally differently than you would the regular season, too. It's a different season for a lot of reasons. Point 7, Unidecker says, will Rhino score number 53 in Ottawa? Who knows? I guess. But I'll say this. Did you see this season coming, and what do you think is this kid capable of?
He's unbelievable. I mean, obviously, a lot of players are going to look really good next to Alexander Barkov, for sure. But Sam Reinhart's a special talent. Absolutely. I hope that he stays with us. I'm sure everybody involved wants that. So, yeah, I'll say yes. He's going to score 53 against Ottawa.
Yeah, why
Put it
not?
on the board.
Why not? Ben, who watches every day, and I appreciate him looking me up at the games, Ben Cobb says, Rod, the special hockey team is starting up. I'll explain when I see you. All right, Ben, I'm looking forward to that. And Danny, you know Danny.
Is that our boy Danny?
Yeah.
Okay.
He says, do you think the Panthers will slip to finish in a wild card spot? I just looked. I think they're 10 points up on Tampa Bay. It would take a colossal collapse for that to happen.
stranger things have happened, but no, I don't think so. I think Florida is going to beat Ottawa. They've lost a couple nasty ones on the road, and they're not going to lose every game, right? I don't think they're that type of team. So, no, they'll be all right. It doesn't matter. Even if they do, they can still come back and beat whoever they're going to play. Because if they slip, that means whoever they knocked up they're probably going to play them. They'll be fine.
That is a portion of our viewer questions. Apologies that we didn't get to them all. How are we doing for time, Benny? I'm very cognizant of this beautiful woman's time.
I got to go.
You're out of here?
Yeah, I'm out.
Okay, bye.
You guys have a good time.
We got another 5 minutes for me?
Yeah.
Always.
All right,
Absolutely.
we'll switch this over to the two of us on it. Oh, we wanted to get a photo. I guess you can't be in the photo this
Wait
week.
here. Sit down real quick. I'll take a snap.
Look at this. We roll very formal here.
I can tell for
No,
sure.
He's going to take one on the...
No, I'm going to take one on the iPad.
Okay.
Everybody,
Oh, boom.
Everybody
Okay,
smile.
perfect. A 3-shot. Boom.
I'll do
1,
a
2, 3.
three
Smile.
shot.
Hi.
3, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. Awesome.
Thank you,
You know,
Ben.
Andrew should be worried about his job with Ben bringing us home every day.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
That was something else. Yeah.
and thank you for not bullying me about my sunburned nose, by the way. First thing Ben said when I walked in the room, and to be honest, Serena's been nice, but about
Really?
it. Yeah.
Serena's been nice.
She has. Well, this I'm learning, by the way, because he knows I'm a Canadian by trade, hence the sunburn, that in Canada, we put on sunburn once a day, maybe. If you're lucky, we're putting it on. She's like, you got to put it on multiple times. I'm like, what? Whoever heard of that?
That's South Florida, baby.
Yeah, you have this beautiful olive skin. You know.
That's the first time I've heard that before.
So this is going off the top of my head. And Ben, if you have any questions, fire them our way for Andrew, because you're an announcer guy too, the owner and operator here of Podcast Junkie Studios. He is the man around here. But the hello Panthers fans, all these little catchphrases that you've come up with. How long have you had that one specifically, for instance? And where do you come up with these things?
I mean, sometimes it just comes out of nowhere and it just sticks, and sometimes it's one and done. The hello one actually is from my college days. I signed on every single time at Al Radio saying hello FAU, and so
Wow.
that was my intro for the Owls. And it didn't happen right away. It's only been for the past couple seasons where we had this little intro for the fans to start the game, even before warmups. And I was like, let's just test out how it'd be like to start off with a nice little hello. And it really caught on. Every time I do it, you hear the cheer go up from everyone, even though it's super early, and I love it now.
Well, and you are literally living a dream. You said that you're a local boy, you went to the games, but that's something, man.
It's
Not everybody gets to say that.
It's further than that. I mean, I grew up in speech therapy, believe it or
Yeah.
not, and went all the way to become an announcer. So I try to live by don't let any limitations hold you back from what you want to do. I decided that announcing was really my biggest passion, and I could overcome whatever it takes to get there. And I was just that little silly kid playing Mario Golf and announcing for his friends. And it turned into all this. So it's just a reminder that if you have a dream out there, to just chase it. Go for it. We get one shot at this life.
Exactly.
Go for
So
it, right?
every day you are grateful for that.
Absolutely.
I can tell.
Completely.
So having said that, because I'm a career broadcaster, not an announcer per se, but I find it amazing how much the fans are connected to the announcers. It's part of the whole thing, right? Like when we had the tailgate party a few weeks ago, they had to make sure that you were out there. Talk about that if you don't mind.
No, it's fantastic because honestly, for the first few seasons, I was a little anonymous. There was really no kind of...
Really?
It took a bit, for sure. I would be down at ice level, which did help a little bit. So before games, I was kind of hanging out by the penalty boxes because that's where I called games for my first 5 seasons. But there was very limited interaction with the fans. As time has gone on, whether it's been getting a little more time on the Jumbotron, getting out there into the crowd a little bit, doing more watch parties. Watch parties has been the best part, to actually get to go out there, have fans come up and say the same thing you did. I had no idea that voice was coming from you. Holy cow, it's so nice to meet you. And getting to make those connections with the fans. I make time for every single interaction. I always encourage every single person to come up and say hello. I've had young broadcasters come up and kind of mentored them a little bit. It's because I'm so grateful for every moment here that I just soak in every single interaction as an absolute opportunity, honestly.
My mind's racing. I know we're running out of time, so I want to get to the most key points. I think it's awesome the way the Panthers have embraced you, and they do give you a voice. And maybe the fans should know they want to love the team that they cheer for. They're upset about the losing right now, but overall they love their team, and you love them too. Like the vibe is unreal. They're so positive.
I think that's where it comes from. When you have an announcer who's a fan first, you know that he's on your side. He or she is on your side in every situation. You know, it's not this hired actor who's kind of like putting on entertainment value for the crowd and trying to figure out how am I going to play up this moment and make it bigger than it is. This is me living and dying with every chip in and dump in too, because I want to see that puck go in the net and I want to celebrate with the fans. There's videos out there of our celebrations from last season on every big goal in the playoffs, and I am jumping up and down like a little kid when Tkachuk wins that series against Carolina. I mean, we have it all on tape. It is just every moment I'm living as a fan in a really good seat.
I don't think I've ever talked to you about this either, but you know, when I came down from Canada 3 years ago now, I was like a typical Canadian. I didn't think the Panthers had any fans at all, because the perception up there, and you know it because you're in those Facebook groups and those things, is that there are no fans. We're used to seeing the crowds of 3,000, and they think only 3,000 fans love the Panthers, and they still think that. But I feel like you are over being offended by that. You don't care.
I mean, the jokes have died, right? Because we've seen the arena fold up.
Yeah, you don't hear it anymore.
Up.
You don't hear it.
Absolutely. I think the bottom line is that any team, I don't care where you're from, I don't care where your location is, if you're struggling, the fans are not coming out. There are very few exceptions to this rule. We've seen it in Chicago. We've seen it in Pittsburgh. Teams that have struggled for a number of years, the building reflects that. You can't blame people who say, okay, this team's missed the playoffs for 10 straight years. I have other things that I can do right now. That's just life. That's just what happens. It doesn't matter where the market is. Florida has always been a beautiful market for sports, including hockey, and you can see it now. The team's playing well. The team is investing in its fans. It's investing in all facets, and the fans are coming out, and all the jokes have died.
Your hockey number one? That's your favorite sport?
Number one.
Okay, but that's not the only one you do.
No.
What are all the sports that you do?
I do everything. Absolutely everything these days, from hockey to lacrosse to I almost would say badminton, but not quite. But legitimately football, basketball, baseball, soccer, volleyball, every sport. I do spring training for the Houston Astros and Washington Nationals. I do a lot of different colleges, FAU, Barry, Nova, all over the place, and every sport that they'll give me. I even do high school, American Heritage, shout out to the Stallions. Like I will go and do any organization that prioritizes me and wants me out there. I want to repay that. And it's just me doing what I love in any capacity.
How many of those sports do you know? Because I only know a couple, and I had to learn football.
Almost all of them.
Yeah, good for you.
Any major sport I know. I played soccer growing up. I'm all over that. The sport that I'm least confident about up in the booth is definitely lacrosse. I still have not quite learned all the little ins and outs of possession and shot clocks and stuff like that. Yeah. But I know most things about most sports, fortunately.
Well, I'm not going to keep you any longer. I'll tell you again, though, that we are brought to you by Beach House, and I'll give you a word on Beach House in a second. But is there anything you would like the Panther fans to know, and for that matter, the Lightning fans that are viewing right now?
Hey, well, I mean, those are two different questions, right?
Yeah.
No, absolutely nothing but love to, I mean, let's face it, Florida sports, we're in this together, right? I mean, they've said the same thing about all these teams. So I have nothing but respect for all Florida teams. Lots of love out there, and I appreciate all the love that I've gotten and received. And here's to an amazing playoffs. And hey, maybe someday we'll get that Florida-Tampa ECF and just go at it and see how,
Can you imagine?
how that goes.
Would be great for the rivalry.
That'd be unbelievable.
Let's be honest.
You never know.
The show is brought to you in part by DraftKings, the official sports betting partner of the National Football League. The crown is yours, and they're introducing the no-sweat bet for new customers. Up to $1,000, get a bonus bet back in the original amount you wagered in your first, if your first bet doesn't hit. Promo code THPN. You see it on the screen. It stands for the Hockey Podcast Network. Promo code THPN, as we are a part of the Hockey Podcast Network. And also Beach House Pompano, a scenic rooftop restaurant on the shores of Pompano Beach, and Beresco, right across the street, a tropical outpost serving only the freshest tacos and lush jungle vibes, located at 225 North Pompano Beach Boulevard. We got a gift card for Andrew from Beach House in Beresco, and we'll shut her down. Benny, good work, man. Andrew, we'll see you at the rink, and good job, brother.
Thanks for having me,
Keep
man.
her going. Thanks for being such a great guy. We'll see you next week here on the Cats and Bolts Podcast. Right over here. Actually, come jump in here.